If you found a sealed glass bottle on a pitch-black stormy beach at 3 a.m., covered in salt with a bloody red wax seal and a glowing piece of paper inside, would you open it? Most people would say no. But curiosity has a strange way of becoming stronger when something is trying to keep you away. And that is exactly what happened with this bottle. Because the handwritten letter inside it contains a terrifying warning about a ship that disappeared more than a century ago. A ship that supposedly returned without its crew. But remember one thing. The first two lines tell us what happened. The third line tells us what is still happening right now. So let us open the bottle. Very carefully. The red wax cracks beneath the pressure of my fingers. The dry glass makes a faint clicking sound, and as the bottle opens, the smell of salt water and aged parchment fills the room. The paper is yellow, the edges are burned, and the handwriting looks impossibly old. At the very top, a single sentence reads, "To whoever finds this on the shore, do not search for the SS Vulture." Stop there for a moment. The phrase, "whoever finds this," is extremely useful English. Whoever refers to any unknown person whose identity is not yet determined. So instead of saying, "to the person who finds this," the writer uses "whoever." It sounds more mysterious, more urgent, and far more universal. And notice the command structure. The writer does not say, "please avoid searching." He uses capitalized emphasis. Do not search. It feels less like advice and more like a desperate final warning from a dying man. Now look beneath that sentence. There is a date, October 17th, 1923. According to surviving maritime logs, the SS Vulture was a massive steam-powered merchant vessel that vanished during a routine voyage across the Atlantic. No distress signal was ever broadcast. No wreckage was confirmed. No bodies were recovered. For over 100 years, historians assumed the ship simply succumbed to a violent oceanic storm. The phrasal verb "to go down" is often used in maritime English to mean sinking beneath the surface. But this letter suggests something completely different. Something hunted the SS Vulture, and whatever it was, it did not need to destroy the iron ship. It only needed the crew to step outside. We turn the yellow parchment over. The second line is written in completely different handwriting. The elegant calligraphy is gone. Now the letters are jagged, uneven, and scratched violently into the paper. The crew has completely vanished into the fog. I am the sole survivor, barricaded inside the captain's quarters while something heavy scrapes against the outer iron hull. Pay close attention to two critical English expressions here. First, sole survivor. The word sole means single or only, but it carries immense emotional weight compared to saying the last survivor. A sole survivor is someone left entirely alone in the wake of tragedy. Second, look at the verb scrapes. To scrape means to drag a sharp or hard object across a surface, producing a harsh, grating noise. Imagine being locked inside a dark metal cabin in the middle of the Atlantic, listening to that slow, rhythmic sound against the wall. Scratch, pause, scratch, pause. The captain waits in absolute darkness. He moves slowly toward the door, and then 3 deliberate, heavy knocks sound from the other side. He does not open it. Instead, he writes, "I know the voices are not human." Here is where the story becomes deeply unsettling. According to official port registry records, the physical vessel of the SS Vulture actually drifted into harbor 3 days before this letter was marked as written. When harbor authorities boarded the ship, the dining tables were set for dinner, the oil lamps were still burning, and the lifeboats remained fully secured. There were no signs of a struggle. It was as if every officer and sailor had simply stood up and walked into the sea. But 3 days later, this letter was written by a captain who claimed he was still barricaded inside his cabin. If the ship was already floating empty at the dock, who was writing the letter? And where were they locked away? At the bottom of the page, there is a secret emblem, an anchor tightly entwined by a serpent. Beneath it, a translated phrase reads, "It does not hunt by force. It hunts by deception." Now we reach the forbidden third line, the one written in smeared dark ink that barely looks human. Do not trust the voices from the water. It mimics the crew. It is calling my name right now from the other side of the door, using my mother's voice. Focus on the verb mimics. To mimic means to imitate someone's voice, speech, or behavior precisely in order to deceive them. Notice the captain's choice of grammar here. He uses the present continuous tense. It is calling. He is not describing an event from the past. He is documenting an event happening at that exact second outside his door. The entity did not attack the crew with physical violence. It lured every man overboard one by mimicking the familiar, comforting voices of their loved ones calling from the dark water outside. The captain continues writing in frantic charcoal. I heard my mother's voice outside 20 minutes ago. My mother has been dead for 31 years. He refused to turn the handle, so the voice evolved. First, it sounded like his mother, then his chief officer, then his brother, and finally, it began speaking in the captain's own voice. He writes, "It knows what I sound like. It has started knocking in my rhythm." The English expression, "in my rhythm," refers to a repeated pattern of sound or movement unique to an individual. The creature is not just listening, it is learning. It studies its prey until it masters their memories, their habits, and their deepest attachments. And then comes a line that changes everything. The voices are not coming from the sea. They are coming from inside the ship. The final paragraph contains a desperate, final instruction. If this bottle washes ashore, bury it in the sand. Do not read the words aloud, because sound travels across the water. Once it hears you speak its name, it knows where you stand. There is an important phrasal verb here, to wash ashore, which means to be carried onto the beach by sea waves or currents. But beneath the emblem, numbers are hidden. 17-10-23. That date proves the harbor records were deliberately falsified. The ship did not arrive early. It arrived 3 days late, and the final faint sentence at the very bottom reads, "If you are reading this, the bottle did not wash ashore. It wanted you to find it." Every word of this letter was structured to build your curiosity, to make you read the text, to make you repeat the sentences, and to force you to speak the vessel's name out loud. SS Vulture. You heard the name, you repeated the phrases in your mind, and now you have mastered the advanced vocabulary of this mystery. Whoever, for an unknown individual, sole survivor for the last remaining person, scrape for a harsh dragging sound, mimic to imitate, and wash ashore to be carried to land by currents. Forget the grammar rules for a moment. Forget the vocabulary. If you ever walk along a dark, stormy beach at night and you hear a familiar voice calling your name from the black ocean water, do not turn around. Do not answer. Because sometimes the most terrifying thing in the darkness is the voice that sounds exactly like home.